Well, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome into another exciting Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants broadcast. And thank you for your patience there, because we had that worst of all possible things. We lived through 4 years of COVID and crazy computer stuff where someone's computer just completely failed them right before we went live. So I appreciate you sticking around, and it is well worth it, because we've got a really exciting show for you today as part of our epic early career ocean professional series. So if you've been following along with us, we've been partnering with some really amazing folks to feature some of the coolest careers in STEM, in storytelling, in more, everything around the oceans. Every single month, we featured a new incredible speaker. Those are all on our YouTube channel, so please do check it out. And we are wrapping up the year in style, the first week of June, with 5 more sessions to basically end off the entire school year. So hopefully you can come and check us out for that. And a big thank you for joining us today. Well, now we get the chance to feature internet fixer-upper extraordinaire, Thalassophile Project leader, ocean advocate, incredible human being in every way, and one of the most enthusiastic people I've ever had a test call with. Rada is joining us to take us away on her incredible project to build advocacy for the oceans and so much more. So I'm going to stop talking. I know we're a little late, so enough of me chatting away. Rada, thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you so much for having me. You can still hear me.
We can still hear you.
Fantastic. That's all I wanted to hear. Great stuff. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Rada. I'm super excited to be joining you today to speak about my passions, specifically about the ocean. So let me share my screen to start our little bit delayed talk. Here we are. Here we go. And we present.
Beautiful.
Right, tell me when you can see the big blue screen.
It looks perfect, Rada. It's amazing.
Well, welcome to the Thalassophile Project, how we empower all wave makers by combining senses and science. I'm very, very excited to share with you, but let's start with a land acknowledgement. I'm joining you from the very beautiful Vancouver Island today, and I would like to acknowledge and with respect the Lekwanian peoples on whose traditional territory I have the privilege of speaking to you today, as well as the Songhees, Esquimalt, and Wasanish peoples whose historical relationships with both the land and sea continue to this day. And I wanted you to first meet younger me, because thanks to younger me, I get to be here talking to you today about my love for the ocean. And it is because I was supported by my family and friends to follow that curiosity I had for the little shells, for the little fish when we would go to the sea. And I'm very grateful to younger me for following her heart and dreams, so I can be here today to talk about them to you. So that's younger me. And now I'll ask Jessie to share with you a little bit of a story sharing film about current me. And I think it's better for you to see who I am and for me to show you and share my story rather than me to talk about who I am. So Jessie, over to you.
I'm going to cue this up, and I want to make sure, just send me a quick note in the chat to make sure the audio works, but it should be perfect. Here we go.
The ocean holds our truest reflection. That's why we're inherently drawn to it, like a mirror to our souls. The enchantment of mermaid tales has always captivated me. Growing up in a landlocked city, I anticipated with excitement that one precious summer week when my parents would take me to the seacoast. I remember eagerly collecting conch shells on the beach, hoping to hear the sea within. Despite the scientific explanation, I choose to follow that magic to this day. When I'm in the water, it's like encountering a cold yet comforting embrace, with a touch of fear and profound respect. My entire being is directed towards survival. In that moment, my mind sheds all worries, leaving a serene clarity. Many people are only seeing the ocean surface. My goal is to pique their curiosity about the depths beneath. That's why I'm dedicated to making marine science and ocean literacy accessible. The term thalassophile, meaning a lover of the seas and ocean, perfectly encapsulates my essence. Initially, I saw the ocean through a dreamy lens, but as I learned more about its challenges, it became a stark reality. Everyone knows about plastic pollution, but coral bleaching and ocean acidification are also huge threats. Everything starts with awareness, and namely, the pure realization that a problem exists. We are a part of the problem for the ocean, as well as its solution. The ocean is us as much as we are it. I constantly remind myself that every small action contributes to a positive change. The thought of the future fills me with warmth and serenity, as I know that I am on the right path. My superpower lies in forging a connection between the enchanting world of the sea with the hearts and minds of people. I've always been drawn to the ocean, and now continue to return to it.
Oh, how nice was that? Rada, we're going to come back to you to keep on going with the presentation, but so much fun. Thank you more than you know for that. And here you are good to go. I'm going to exit that in my little video there and bring this up for everyone. Oh, sorry. All the button, everything's failing today tech-wise, but that's okay because we're talking about
we're good. We are good. Thank you so much for screening the film. And thank you to the team behind the film, Untold Films, the director, Alexandra Karajova. So this is a little bit about me. I love the ocean, and that's why I'm here to talk to you about it today. If you remember, one of the last lines in the film is me sharing about my superpower. I say that my superpower is forging a connection, is creating a connection between the enchanting world of the ocean with the hearts and minds of people. And I wanted to talk about superpowers a little bit. So let's move the slide and tell me when you see it.
You're perfect. Climate Ven.
Climate Ven. I heard one of the teachers earlier said that somebody just had a maths class. And the climate Venn, or specifically the Venn diagram, these three little bubbles which overlap, is a very mathematical term, and I'm sure some of you have heard of it already. But this is the climate Venn, which was created by the wonderful scientists, Dr. Ayana Elizabeth Johnson and Dr. Wilkinson. I wanted to ask you, and you feel free to unmute yourself or type in the chat, what do you think your superpower is? Tell me what brings you joy. Tell me what you love doing. Tell me about those things.
Well, I'll start by just saying that I love doing this. I love having people like you on to help share these stories, bring them to a wider audience, highlight their reverence for nature and their excitement about all these things. You had a shell at the opening there, and I, too, have a fantastic shell. And I've got to say, you can do all the science in the world, and I love the science, but just that excitement about nature and science is fantastic. Our grade 1 class is coming with math, climbing, rocks, all great things to love. So there you are.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Riding four-wheelers, being outside. Yep. Yeah, being outside. I think this is really the main thing. And Jessie, you're very good at it. What brings you joy? You're also very good at it, which is our other bubble on the left. What are you good at? And I think if you don't know what your superpower is yet, not to worry. I encourage you to write down those 3 questions. What brings you joy? What you think you're good at and what you are good at. And the final question, which we'll talk about in just a second, is what work needs doing. Draw the things that bring you joy, create a dance, express your love for the things you love doing in any way that you want. But this is a very nice, it's like a recipe for finding your superpower. I have followed my joy, which has brought you to marine science into ocean conservation. Also, fun fact, my name means joy in Bulgarian, which I think is also like being a guiding light for me in my life. And I have always loved to learn languages. I have loved to be around people. I have loved education. I have loved to teach. I have loved to story share. And I'm very grateful to be able to be here and do exactly that. So by combining these passions I've had for languages, for people, for the ocean, is how I am here today talking to you about this. And like most of you said, you love to be outdoors. And to be outdoors, of course, means that we need to take care of nature so that it is there in its most healthy self, so we can enjoy it just like we enjoy the ocean and the land. So what work needs doing, the third bubble, is actually the question of how can we protect nature? How can we protect the ocean? What is ocean conservation and things like that? And I truly believe that everybody can bring their own superpower, their own individuality into the mix. And when each and every one of us combines those superpowers, you really create this community, this network of believers, of lovers, of people who can and will protect the ocean. So we really need your superpower. So keep searching for it, keep practicing it, keep following your dreams and your hearts. And this really is, I think, the recipe for ocean preservation, for nature preservation, for us being in unison, for us being one with the ocean, with nature, and so on. So write down those questions if you want. Think on them. Talk to your teachers, to your parents, to your friends, and really try and discover that superpower that you have. But having said that every and each and one of us has a superpower also means that we need everybody on board, on the boat, to use as an expression, to make that change happen. But in order for that to happen, in order for everybody to be able to bring their own superpower into the mix, they need to have the resources and the knowledge to first be able to develop that superpower and to then be able to bring it into the mix. And I really love this quote. Well, first, what are your superpowers? If anybody, you've already done that, you've already typed what your superpowers are, but please, we can talk about it towards the end of the talk as well. It is a very important question, like I just described. But there it is. My favorite quote by the Kenyan climate activist Elizabeth Wathuti. She says, if we're going to achieve everything, we will need everyone on board. But unfortunately, not everyone is on board yet. There are a lot of people that unfortunately don't have access to this knowledge, to this education, to these resources and tools that you need to bring your superpower into the mix, to bring your knowledge, to bring your passion into the mix. And this is what I want to talk to you about today, because Thalassophile Project is our goal to bridge that gap, to make that gap smaller between people joining the boat and bringing their superpowers in. Particularly, our focus is on people who are deaf, hard of hearing, visually impaired, who have different learning styles. We really want to bring everybody on board because you all have this unique superpower, you have this unique vision, you have this unique dream, heart, mind that is just necessary for us to protect nature. So let me go back a slide. So that's what thalassophile means. You also heard me say it in the video. Thalassophile comes from Greek and it means a lover and friend of the ocean. And mini-me that I showed you in the beginning of the talk has always been a thalassophile, I think. I've always loved mermaids and I still believe in them, believe it or not. I always love to read about them, and I think that magic that I talked about in the film as well has remained with me in my heart and is the reason also why I get to do what I do today. And everybody can be a thalassophile, right? Love has no boundaries, just like the ocean doesn't, which you probably notice I don't say oceans, I say ocean because I believe the ocean is one whole interconnected system, just like we are. And love is also something that connects us. And having said that, And having talked about the barriers to many people, differently abled people, we really ought to make that gap smaller and bring everybody on board. And this is what we do as part of the Thalassophile Project. I will now show you a video of Dr. Alton Purser, who is a deep sea ecologist at the Alfred Wegener Institute for Polar and Marine Science at the Institute in Germany. And it's a video, it's a snippet of a video series that my partners and I, my team and I created to serve as a blue education tool for people to learn more about the ocean. So enough talking, let me just play that video for you.
Oh, the audio is not coming through in the video.
Yes,
Oh,
no worries, Jesse. No worries, it's all good.
If this video exists on YouTube in any place, I can find this and try and play it, or at least share it with our audience after the fact as well.
You're good. No worries. JC, thank you so much for saying this, because this is exactly what I wanted to happen.
Perfect.
I purposefully played a video without sound, without subtitles, without captions, so you probably really couldn't understand anything unless you can lip read, which would be very impressive. This is what I wanted to show you. This is unfortunately the reality for many deaf students, for many deaf people who want to access information about the ocean, who wants to access this blue education material. They can't, because it has not been designed with them in mind. And that's what we try to do as part of the Thalassophile Project. We try to teach people about the ocean and make it as accessible as possible so that everybody can learn. Because as I said, we need everybody on board. We need everybody to know about the ocean, to learn to care about the ocean, to protect it. So now let me show you the same video, but the full version that my partners, my team and I created. This is the Thalassophile Project educational episode number 1. And this is Dr. Alton Purser.
Hi there, my name is Dr. Alton Purser and I'm a deep sea ecologist, and here I am in the area off Greenland, a lot of thick ice in the Fram Strait. This is an area where the water from the Atlantic to the Arctic turns around and comes back. And what we do is come here every year and we see how environmental conditions are changing over time.
Isn't it super cool that he's on a ship in the Arctic Ocean? I think that's pretty cool, right? But the point is that videos can very easily be made accessible by adding subtitles or closed captions. So describing the different sounds that are happening around, not just what the person is talking about. So Dr. Alton Purser was kind enough to record quite a longer video talking about his work, which we use as our educational episode to help people learn about the ocean. And thanks to our partners over at the Turin Institute for the Deaf in Italy, we have also created a version of the same video in international sign. You probably just noticed that I didn't say international sign language. And this is because there isn't an international sign language. Every country has its own sign language. So in Bulgaria, we have Bulgarian Sign Language. Over the United Kingdom, they use British Sign Language, or BSL, which is the language I used to introduce myself in the beginning. In North America is American Sign Language. And you're probably thinking, why is British Sign Language and American Sign Language two separate things? Well, they actually only share about 30% of the phrases and signs. They're separate languages, grammatically, stylistically. It's to me, like I told you in the beginning, I love languages, and it's very fascinating how there isn't a universal sign language. This is our partner, Gianluca Girioli, and he is actually signing, like I said, an international sign. So he's using signs that are similar in a few sign languages, but it is not a language in its own. It is just signs like thank you, which is more or less universal between the sign languages of the world. And it's a way to make the content, of course, more understandable for the deaf community across the world. It's pretty awesome, I think. And it is a dream of mine. I have studied British Sign Language and Bulgarian Sign Language when I was younger, when I was around 15, 16. I'm not fluent in them, but it is a dream of mine, and one day I hope to become an interpreter in one or multiple of those languages. But this is just a fun fact for you. And of course, the talk is about the senses in science. And this is our way of engaging a sight, engaging a visual and auditory outputs to engage the community, because I think it's very interesting to learn about the ocean, not just by reading, not just by watching videos, but by listening, but by tasting, by playing in it, by touching tactile models. You know, we have to engage all of our senses because I think that is a way to connect with it even more, because we are sentient beings, and the ocean makes us really aware of those. I have a question for you now. How many senses do you think we have?
Well, we got some colored circles up there, and I certainly think most people think of as 5 senses. I get the sense you might tell us something different.
I might. We'll see.
Yeah, YouTube says 5 as well, so 5 is our answer.
Okay, 5 is our answer. Fair enough. I also thought that until I started reading this book called Sentient, which is by the author Jackie Higgins, and it's a beautiful book. And she explores different animal senses and how they can teach us about our human senses. And I started reading it, and I think one of the first few pages, it said that scientists believe that we have anywhere between 22 and 53 senses. And I was really mind blown by this fact, because of course we are taught that we only have 5 senses, potentially 6, but we actually have anywhere between 22 and 53. Because scientists count the sense of balance, the sense of self, the sense of temperature as a sense as well. Isn't that cool? All those ways you can engage in ocean science and any sort of science, you know, and any sort of exploration by engaging all of those senses. And here, before I click on the next slide, because there is sound involved, so listen carefully. I wanted to give you a few examples of other fantastic initiatives that make marine science and blue education accessible through engaging the different senses. I just showed you what we do as part of the Thalassophile Project. Now let me show you our first example. I don't know if it would play. If it doesn't play, I have a backup plan.
Yeah, it's playing.
Did you say it played?
Yeah, we just heard that. It's
perfect.
It's great.
It was quite a peculiar sound, right?
Very odd.
Well, what you just heard is actually a Pacific herring communicating with its friends by farting. So Pacific herring is a fish that communicates by farting, or by using a fast repetitive tick, or FRT, which scientists wanted to be funny and called it fart. I think that's a pretty fun fact. And I'm showing you this because this is part of a scientific discipline called ocean bioacoustics, or studying the sounds that animals make in the ocean. And in the beginning, I told you that I'm joining from Vancouver Island, and I'm actually here to work on this project called Fish Sounds with the wonderful team, which are also on a quest to learn the language of the fish. And I am very fascinated by this part of science, this part of marine science, because people, when they hear acoustics, they think only sound, right? It makes sense. But actually, you can see sound through this diagram that you're looking at on the screen, which is called a spectrogram. Did you know you can see sound? Or did you know?
I did, but that's only because I've done a lot of broadcasts like this.
Yep.
Programs on marine acoustics, and it's very cool stuff.
Or did you know that fish make sound?
Ooh, 2 students said yes, and the rest said no to the sound thing. That's fantastic. Thanks, Ms. Bradlin.
Well, the Fish Sounds team that I've joined also has a Fish Sounds Educate program. And last year or 2 years ago, one of our colleagues actually led a talk as part of the ECOP series, and she did talk about fish sounds specifically. So definitely go check her talk out. But I'm very, very grateful and excited to be able to explore that connection between the visual and auditory as a way to engage more people in marine science. Because a hard of hearing or a deaf person can have a look at those spectrograms and analyze the data of different soniferous or sound-producing fish around the world. And at the same time, visually impaired people could listen to the recordings. And that way, this is a way they could get more involved in marine science if that's what they wish to do. And I think it's just a fascinating topic, and I love to talk about it. So thank you for indulging me. Anyway, next example is of a very, very exciting book that actually, if you're able to scan or write down the little link that I have put in the bottom right, you can use the activities in this Ocean Senses activities book in your classes to learn about the ocean by engaging your different senses. So this Ocean Senses activities book was created by another group of lovely colleagues of mine who have written some very exciting activities engaging your sight, your smell, your taste, the sound, and that way you can learn about the ocean. So I encourage you, whenever you have the chance in your classes, to maybe have a look through that booklet and see if there is an activity you would like to try as a class. And it's a fantastic way to learn. Again, another way to engage all wave makers, to empower all wave makers to be able to participate in ocean conservation and exploration. And another very, very cool initiative is by a person called Federico Girotto, as well as the Interoceanic Governmental Commission of UNESCO. They created this super cool Feel the Change multisensory tactile exhibition a few years ago. And they created these 3D models of coral, which you can see. You can touch them. You can touch the little polyps of coral. And you can, again, really learn about climate change by experiencing it, by engaging your other senses. And I think nowadays with the 3D printers that we have, we can really print all different sorts of models of the seafloor, of the deep seafloor, which not many people have access to. You know, not many people have managed to go down and see the bottom, the seafloor in the Arctic Ocean. And it's a fantastic, fantastic way to, again, engage with ocean science in a deeper way. No pun intended. But yeah, by engaging all of your senses, your connection deepens. And I think these are some fantastic initiatives out there which are trying to do that. And I'm learning a lot as a young person, as a young ocean advocate. I'm still learning a lot. And there is still much more to learn in that field. And I'm excited to continue exploring with the Fish Sounds team, with the 3D modeling. And it's just a fascinating way to engage more people and really make marine science more open. Because again, and to continue to wrap up this talk, we need everybody on board. We need to equip all wave makers with the tools, resources, and knowledge in order for us as a team to tackle the challenges that nature and our ocean is facing. So thank you very much for listening to me. I'm very happy now to have more of a conversation style of, let's move the slide. Thank you. And I'm very excited now for the conversation, for the questions, and yeah. Shoot.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, first and foremost, and what an incredible story and some great videos today as well. Miss Spradlin's class, they want to kick us off with a question. I was going to take it from YouTube first, but first graders, if you want to kick us off, you're in the broadcast. You're good to go, guys.
Thank you so much, first of all, for having us. And second of all, we have a question from Kemp, and he would like to know how they were able to make the coral using the 3D printers, to know what they looked like and how they made them.
This is an awesome question. And I actually don't really know the details, but what I do know is that there is a computer model that is created by scientists which is obviously designed so that it can be printed using the 3D model, and then it's printed. But I imagine scientists would know really the answers to that, who work more closely with coral species, and they know what they look like, and they're following, of course, a model representing the real coral, right? I believe that could answer the question, but this is homework for me. I should actually know this.
Always good to have homework at the end of one of these broadcasts. Well,
Yeah.
for the next one, it might be a little easier. On the website for the Thalassophile Project,
Yes.
Which again, I'll bring up for everybody too, so you can make sure to check that out. We've got 3 educational videos so far. Are you working on more of these? Are there any
Yes.
topics of particular interest that you can give us a sneak peek before they go live?
We are working on 2 more, which will be coming out in the next couple of months. But the other 2 educational episodes, so you saw part of Dr. Orton Purser's video, which is about the deep sea ecosystem in the Arctic. Another video is all about fisheries, fishermen, and the communities of local people, and how we can learn from them when it comes to being more sustainable, when it comes to eating fish and so on. And the 3rd video is by Dr. Tim Grandjean. It's about seagrass meadows in the Mediterranean Sea, and how important they are, especially when it comes to protecting us from the repercussions of climate change, but also they produce half of our oxygen, and they're just fascinating underwater forests,
They are
you can learn about by watching Tim's video.
And they're so under talked about. Like they're sort of a benefit to the world that like so few people know. So I'm so glad we mentioned that. And I've put that educational episode link on the YouTube chat and StreamYard so people can explore and discover those. Rada, you've got this really fantastic personal story, and we got a question about if there's any favorite thing that you do. Is there something that, like, it all sounds a lot of fun, but is there anything that gets you up in the morning that you particularly love to do in your work?
I think one thing I did not mention when I talked about the superpowers is that I have combined my passions into one. So I have combined, like I said, the languages and the ocean and the education part and the people part in one. And it's just so exciting. Something new is happening every day. I mean, I'm here for the first time in North America, in Canada, because I combined my passions and I followed my passions. And this is really an encouragement to really, again, ask yourself that question. What brings you joy? What gets you up in the morning? And for me, this is it. It's knowing that through my superpower, through my interests, and combining them and creating something more unique, I can really contribute to the preservation of our ocean. And most importantly, I love it. I love the ocean. I always like to say the ocean is me and I am the ocean. And I think that will always be a reason to get up in the morning and to do what I do and to be in the water. You saw some shots of me free diving. Always get in the water, get your blue mind on. That's the title of the film, Blue Mind, which is based on another beautiful book that I have prepared here next to me, which you saw actually, this very same book in the film. It's by Dr. Wallace J. Nichols, and it's exploring how being in, under, on water, or near water, it really boosts your creativity and it makes you feel calmer and really better. And that's what the ocean does for us. And me as a person who grew up in the landlocked part of Bulgaria, learning about mermaids and reading stories and watching videos is really what ignited that love for the ocean. I didn't have to see the ocean every day to know that I care for it and that I love it. But it really helped that my parents would take me to the seacoast every summer.
What a beautiful, beautiful message. Yeah. And plugging in Blue Mind there as well is awesome. It's a great read. One final question, because time flies and you're having fun in these broadcasts, right? I know we could go all day. You highlighted some of the incredible work that you're doing to make sure that people that might have different abilities are able to access this information. Yeah. Is there any quote unquote disability, for lack of a better term in this statement, that is particularly challenging? Like, is there one that you haven't found a way to you crack that nut to get that information and resources out there?
It's a fantastic question. And I always like to describe Thalassophile as an initiative dedicated to making marine science universally accessible, especially for deaf and visually impaired people. When I say universally, you can't work on accessibility and not include or think about everyone, right? You can't just think, okay, deaf and visually impaired people. We have focused on deaf and visually impaired people because our partners have really experts in pedagogical accessibility, and they have the knowledge to do that. But I have other friends who work with people who have ADHD or dyslexia or neurodivergent. I think I will again repeat myself, but when everybody brings the unique perspective and superpower, I think it's very possible. It is definitely possible to find a solution to include everybody. So in terms of a challenging, I don't think I have felt it, because I know there are many people who work on many different parts of this issue with making marine science accessible, and I'm very confident that we will be able to bring everybody on board.
I'm very
Yeah.
confident if anyone can pull it off, it's going to be you. So that's fantastic, Rada. This has been so much fun. Professional detachment out the window. This has been a really good time. Is there any final message you want to leave our kids, both live, YouTube, anyone tuning in after, about your project, about the work you do, anything to wrap up our broadcast before we say farewell?
Yeah. We need everyone. We need each and every one of you. Like I said, we need all of your superpowers. So keep being curious, keep doing what you love, keep exploring so that you can find those things. It doesn't have to be one. You can have many passions and combine them like I have, or keep them separate, doesn't matter. Just keep thinking about the ocean, keep thinking about nature, and keep doing your bit with your superpower to help us protect it.
I think I'm going to have to go by starting to go for a swim immediately, because it's a beautiful day and I got the ocean right down the road.
Please,
if you can, go get in the water, and it's.
And if you can't, take a shower. That's also a way. You know,
spring and summer are here. Get outdoors. I know for some of our classes, especially in the US, the school year is ending very soon, so hopefully you get the chance to be in and on the ocean in whatever capacity that may be. That goes such a long way. And as we wrap up, I just want to note again, if you want to check out this program, share with your family and friends. It's on our YouTube channel, part of our epic ECOP series. And of course, check out thalassophileproject.org. So much more to explore and discover there, especially those educational videos I linked in earlier. Rada, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.